Guys, you know that feeling you get in the morning after a big night out? Because our friends at Zbiotics are here to help. Zbiotics, pre-alcohol probiotic drink, is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. Invented by PhD scientists, designed to tackle tough mornings the night after drinking. Here's how this works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct that goes to your gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol creates an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make Zbiotics your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly. Zbiotics pre-alcohol is perfect for those who always have their health in mind and are looking to master the balance of work and play. So I want you to level up your recovery, and I want you to do it today. I'll get you 15% off your first order at checkout. All you got to do is click on the link in the description. Plus, Zbiotics offers a 100% money-back guarantee. If you are not satisfied for any reason, they will refund all of your money, no questions asked. Jon Jones had the most unlikely defender. Now, and it was Kevin Holland. And for Kevin Holland to back Jon Jones, great. They might have a personal story, or Kevin just looks up to him, or Kevin just heard something, so hey, somebody should really speak up for the champ here. It could be that. I don't actually know the background, but when I tell you the most unlikely defender, Kevin Holland is the modern-day Cowboy Cerrone. Nobody fights more than Kevin Holland. Nobody makes less excuses about fighting than Kevin Holland. Nobody does not negotiate or renegotiate, just says yes to the opportunity they're presented than Kevin Holland. Nobody. He'll fight your ass at 2 different weight classes. He'll fight it at a third if you come up with it. He'll fight you on Friday and he'll fight your friend on Saturday. He'll do a fight in Cheyenne. He'll do another fight in Miami. I mean, there is nothing that is going to get Kevin to say no or to delay or to negotiate. And so when it was Kevin Holland that came out and said about Jon, what Kevin was talking about, by the way, Jon had come out and said, I want a contract with Tom Aspinall. And from that day, the day that we sign the contract, we know this is going to happen and this really becomes a thing, I need 6 months. And I don't know how serious Jon was with that statement. I think that we, the public, have taken that statement and done a little more with it by a factor of 3 than Jon ever intended for it to be. But either way, Kevin came out and he defended him. He said, listen, this is what a lot of the greats do. And he compared it to Floyd Mayweather. He took it over to boxing. And Kevin said about himself, the older I get, the more I'm going to drag things out. As opposed, or at least this was my interpretation, that he's talking about himself, because he said I. So I felt like he was personalizing it. So instead of fighting 5 guys in a year, as I get older, as my brand builds, as my success, as I need to do this more, I'm going to do it more. And Kevin also took it from a perspective fully. Kevin took this fully from a perspective of psychologically. He said, if Jon makes Tom wait, that by the time that match comes, Tom's going to be spun. And I'm not sure that I fully agree with that, by the way. I'm not sure what it means. Like, I'm just putting myself in their shoes. If I was going to fight a guy and it ends up being tomorrow, or it's 6 months from tomorrow, I don't know that I understand the difference. But it was relevant that Kevin attacked this purely from a psychological standpoint, and that Jon Jones is flexing. That Jon Jones is showing them, I'm the great. Not just of my era, still today. We will play by my rules. I will make up rules just to show you that we're going to play by my rules. This is Kevin Holland talking. Son of a bitch, is that what's happening? I must tell you, if so, I missed it. I didn't think of this as a psychological play by Jon. Is that what this is? Because there's nothing that Kevin said that's wrong. That is what happens. That is what Floyd does. That is common in boxing. That is very common in all of combat with our top stars, so it's easier to use boxing. You just have a longer pool of history to draw from. And there isn't a top guy in my lifetime that fought 3 times a year, but all those guys were under the same contract that called for 3 times a year. I will tell you in my own career, and I find a way to shine myself here, it really wasn't my intent, but I drew very well. I was top of a card, face of organizations, and mine slowed. That wasn't by choice. That was my promoter's choice, but mine ended up slowing. I was the guy that tried to be like Cowboy. I wanted 4 or 5 fights a year. My only resentment to this business is that we only got to do it 3 times a year. I came from a wrestling background. We would do 4 to 5 matches every Saturday. I hated in this business that we only got 3 a year. Anyway, mine had also slowed to 2. But my placement on the card at the top was there, and the venues sold out. The gate would get a little bit stronger as time went on. Kevin is right. That is often how it's done. And it doesn't matter if it was Mike or it was Evander, Roy Jones, De La Hoya, Floyd. I'm stating the guys that were on top in my lifetime. It doesn't matter. Kevin is right. None of those guys did what, say, Kevin would do, which is be fast, turn around, anybody, excited for the phone to ring, looking for an opportunity. Kevin's right. And it's extremely tough for me to disagree with Jon Jones even when I want to. He has a skill and he's had a level of success that cannot be related to. He's had so much success, he has given world championships back. He has been stripped of world championships. And you know what? I don't remember any of it. It feels like from the day Jon got here to now that he's been nothing but the champion. That's what it feels like. That's how my mind and my heart remember it. So it's just hard to argue. It's hard to say, hey, here's what you've got wrong and here's what would be better. It puts you in a little bit of a jam. But I can still share with what I believe and what I've experienced on all sides of it, not just as a competitor, but as a fan, and even as a coach with the athletes that I work with. It is the same 100% of the time, which is any variable that you want to change in the fight, go ahead. You will not change the outcome. It was just a topic that resurfaced 2 weeks ago on Ronda Rousey versus Holly Holm, and one of the problems that Ronda had with that fight is how busy she was and how active she was, and she agreed to it. The fight was a little too fast. The training camp was a little too short. It's a little too many things going on. She got on an airplane. She went over. It just all kind of came too fast, whereas you would have slowed down, just done this by the textbook the right way, but there's no truth to that. That's a fun way to tell a story. I have never witnessed in my life a competition where the right person didn't win. You can change and talk about all the things that you wish that you would have done. You can even sit around with your boxing and your little fight experts. They got an 8th grade education and their gold teeth. They can sit there and tell you all the smart things that they know about fighting. The one thing that they can never do is show you an outcome that if a date or a training camp or a preparation had actually been done differently, where the outcome would have been reversed. Ever in any sport, anywhere, ever. I'm sharing from my experience. Been watching sports since I was born. There has never been a time where the right person didn't win. All the rest of it is noise. It's storytelling. It's excuse me. It's part of the business. It's how you do a rematch. It's how you repackage somebody. I mean, step number 1 in repackaging somebody and doing a repair and a rebuild is finding an excuse to sell on the audience for why that happened, to get the audience to forget about it, to move on to the next date. It's step number 1. I'm just sharing with you, there's no truth to it. So if Jon, and I say this in support of Kevin's side, Kevin's really got me thinking about this. And there would be nothing about Jon having 6 months to train. There would be nothing that would make Jon a better fighter than if he had 3 weeks to train. That's just the truth. All the rest of it is what a trainer is trying to tell you and sell you on because he's trying to get 10%. I mean, there is an entire industry and market that is trying to sell and convince the world that they've got the answers. The part that they never tell the world is they want paid to give those answers. Like that, it's just simply not true. Jon had 6 months to train for Aspinall. I don't know what will happen. It's why those boys have to fight. I can just tell you whatever will happen in those 6 months, wherever they set that cage up, wherever this thing in the world, you could change every single one of those ingredients. You will not change the outcome. Whoever wins between Jon and Tom would have won if they fought the day they signed the contract, would have won if they ran into each other in the street, would have ran if they stepped out there and did it at Madison Square Garden in November of last year. The same guy will win if you want to do it on Super Bowl weekend, if you want to do it on International Fight Weekend, if you want to keep it at November and MSG. The approach and the way that they feel when that referee turns to them and says, "Are you ready?" That feel could be different. The outcome of the sporting competition in my life, there hasn't been one where that would be flipped for any of those details. So if it's not physical, if I'm right about that, and I am, then Kevin must be right that it's psychological. And I don't think when Jon said this, he ever saw this as a headline. I don't think that Jon thought 3 weeks ago when he said it that we'd still be talking about it. I don't think that Jon meant this as something. But Jon does have a massive habit, or at least a massive history, that once Jon says something, he does his absolute best to back it. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's a drunken tweet. If Jon says it, he then many times plays catch up to make the statement so. He does not like going back on something that he said. I imagine a lot of us could relate to that as human beings. I'm just sharing historically, you can find so many times where Jon made a statement and then allowed hellfire and brimstone to happen so that he could get as close to accurate to that statement, which he never meant in the first place. He doesn't mean this one. He doesn't mean I need 180 days from the day I signed the contract. He doesn't mean that any more than he meant in New York in November of last year, I need $30 million to do the fight. He doesn't mean any of those things, but there are times when we, the audience, will grab something that he said, make it so, and he will do his best to retell the story to make it come out accurate, which would be a psychological play, which is what Kevin Holland is suggesting.